Here's a question that most investing advice never asks, and I think it's one of the most important questions in personal finance. Where does the money come from? And not in the abstract sense. I don't mean where does wealth ultimately originate. I mean specifically, where does the money come from to put into your investment account every month? The money that is supposed to compound into financial independence over the years ahead. Where precisely does it come from? And for most people, the answer is salary. You work, you get paid, you set aside a portion of what you earn, and that portion goes into the account. Maybe it's automated, a direct deposit split, a pre-authorized contribution to a retirement account. Maybe it's manual, a transfer you make at the end of each month from whatever is left over after expenses. Either way, the source is the same: earned income from employment. The market itself contributes nothing new until you've been in it for a while. And that's the conventional model, and there's nothing wrong with it as far as it goes. The problem, as we established in episode 1, is that it depends entirely on variables outside your control. Your employer's willingness to keep paying you, the gap between your income and your obligations, the consistency of your surplus from month to month, the years you have remaining before you need the money. If any of those variables is unfavorable, and for many people more than one is, the contribution rate that the model depends on either isn't achievable or it isn't enough. Now, the income engine is the answer to that problem. It's not the whole answer, but it's a critical part of it. Instead of relying solely on earned income as the fuel for your investment system, the income engine generates additional cash flow directly from market activity. It is a second source of investment capital, and one that operates independently of your employment income, and that can grow over time as your skill and account size grow. Think of it this way. Most investors are connected to a single power source, their salary. If that source is interrupted through a job loss, a health event, an unexpected expense that clears out the surplus, then the investment plan stalls. There's no redundancy. There's no alternative supply. The income engine is a generator. It doesn't replace the grid. Your salary remains an important input, especially in the early stages, but it gives you an independent source of investment capital that you control, that you can grow, and that keeps producing regardless of what happens to your employment income. Over time, as the generator scales up, the dependency on the grid diminishes. That is the trajectory the three-engine wealth system is built to achieve. Now, in the last episode, we established that the income engine comes first in the sequence. Today, we get into the specifics, what the income engine actually does, what it targets, and how its output flows into the rest of the system. The income engine's job is to generate reliable, recurring cash flow through active participation in the financial markets. Now let me unpack each of those words because each one carries some weight. Reliable means consistent, not spectacular in some months and catastrophic in others. Not dependent on a single trade going your way or a single market call being right. Reliable means a positive outcome month after month, produced by a repeatable process rather than by luck or an inspired judgment call. Reliability is built through method, a specific, rule-based approach that tells you exactly when to enter, how much to risk, when to exit, and how to respond when things don't go to plan. Recurring means ongoing. The income engine is not a one-time event. It is a process that runs every month, producing new cash that feeds into the rest of the system. This is what distinguishes it from a lucky trade or a one-off win. Recurring income is structural. It comes from a system that keeps operating, not from a single outcome. Cash flow means actual money arriving in the account, not unrealized appreciation. That is, shares that are worth more on paper than you paid for them. We're talking about actual cash, available to be reinvested or reallocated or deployed into the growth engine. The distinction matters because cash is flexible. Appreciation, on the other hand, is trapped until you sell. Cash can be put to work immediately. What does the income engine actually involve? Well, that depends on you, and it's worth being direct about that. The defining characteristic of the income engine is the output, reliable monthly cash flow, not the method used to produce it. There are a number of ways to generate consistent income from markets, and the right one for you depends on your skills, your schedule, your starting capital, and the mentors you choose to work with. Active stock trading, which is buying and selling equities to capture short-term price movements, that's one approach. Options income strategies, which generate premium income from structured positions, that's another approach. Futures trading, which offers significant capital efficiency and the ability to trade almost around the clock, is another approach. Forex trading, commodity trading, and various hybrid approaches are used by income engine practitioners with different backgrounds and preferences. Each of these approaches has different capital requirements, different time demands, different learning curves, and different risk profiles, and none of them is universally superior. The right approach is the one that you can execute consistently, with proper risk management, and in a way that fits your actual life. That determination is made through the process of evaluating mentors and choosing the approach that aligns with your situation, which is exactly what the Virtual Investing Organization module addresses in detail. One principle, however, does apply universally across every income engine method. The goal is not to hit home runs. It is to hit consistent base hits. A home run trade, a single position that doubles or triples the account, that sounds appealing, but it requires either exceptional skill or exceptional luck, and it usually comes with a level of risk that is simply incompatible with a long-term system. The accounts that blow up almost always do so because someone was swinging for a home run and connected with the wrong pitch. The income engine is not built for that. It is built for repeatable, controlled, incremental gains that accumulate into something significant over time. Boring by the standards of financial social media, but effective by the standards of building actual wealth. In the $1 million experiment, the income engine runs through micro E-mini S&P 500 futures contracts. We chose this instrument for the leverage it offers relative to the capital required, the near 24-hour market access, and the clean scalability as the account grows. And the leverage is the critical point. Futures allow us to generate an 8.3% monthly return on the account, which is what the income engine role demands in the $1 million experiment. A strategy that produces only 1.5 or 2% per month does not generate cash flow fast enough to meaningfully fuel the rest of the system. The instrument has to match the pace the engine requires, which is why leverage-efficient approaches are the natural fit for most income engine implementations. Now, these are our choices. They're informed choices. They're made for specific reasons that we're transparent about, but they're not the only valid choices. And I would not want anyone watching this series to conclude that the income engine requires futures trading or options expertise even. What it requires is a repeatable method for generating monthly cash flow. The specific method is yours to determine. Now let's talk about what the income engine is expected to produce, at least in the context of the $1 million experiment. Because while the method is a choice, the targets are specific, and understanding the math behind those targets is essential to understanding why the system works the way it does. In the $1 million experiment, the income engine begins with a $3,000 trading account. This is the allocation we made to the income engine at the start of the experiment. It's not exactly an arbitrary number. Actually, it reflects the minimum practical account size for the specific instrument we chose to use, with enough buffer to manage risk properly. Now, for a different instrument or approach, the starting amount might very well be different. But from that $3,000 base, our monthly income target is $249. In percentage terms, that is 8.3% of the starting account per month. Now, I want to be clear about something. 8.3% per month is a genuinely ambitious target. On an annualized basis, that is a very high return. And we're not pretending it's not. But what makes it achievable, and we're demonstrating this live in the $1 million experiment, not just claiming it, is the combination of the instrument's leverage, a disciplined risk management rule that limits loss on any single trade, and a method with a positive expectancy when applied consistently over many trades. Now let me show you where the target comes from and how the underlying math works. The first number is the risk per trade, $75. This represents 2.5% of the $3,000 account. That 2.5% figure is our maximum risk on any single trade. No matter how confident we are in a particular setup, the maximum we're willing to lose on that one trade is 2.5% of the account. And this rule exists because the mathematics of loss are asymmetric. A small number of oversized losses can permanently damage an account, in ways that taking many winning trades to recover from. Keeping every single loss small is what allows the system to stay in the game long enough for the edge to play out. The monthly target of $249, 8.3%, is not reached by making a few large bets. It's reached through a series of smaller wins, each risking no more than $75 or so over the course of a full trading month. On average, across a month of 20 or so trading sessions, that works out to roughly $12 of net profit per day. That is a very different psychological experience from swinging for large gains. And it's deliberately so. Small, consistent wins build account equity steadily. Large swings, even when they come out positive on average, create volatility that's destructive to the compounding process. Now, here's one of the features of the $1 million experiment, the income engine approach, that I find most compelling. It's the scalability. Because we are using a standardized instrument with a defined unit size, the rules that govern a $3,000 account apply proportionally to a larger account, with no modification to the underlying logic. At $3,000, one contract, $75 of risk per trade, $249 monthly target. At $6,000 in the account, that's two contracts, traded at the same time, $150 of risk per trade, $498 monthly target. At $9,000 of account size, that's three contracts traded, $225 of risk per trade, $747 monthly target. The percentages stay constant. The absolute dollar amounts scale linearly. Every time the account grows by $3,000, the capacity of the income engine increases by the same proportional increment. This is not an accident. It's one of the reasons we chose this particular instrument and this approach for the $1 million experiment. The scaling logic is clean, it's predictable. It removes the need for any judgment calls about when to increase position size. The account size tells you exactly what to do. Now, generating income is only half of the income engine's job. The other half is what happens to that income once it arrives. And this is where the systems thinking we introduced in episode 2 becomes more concrete. The income that the income engine produces each month does not sit in the trading account, and it does not get spent. It moves deliberately, according to a predefined allocation, into the rest of the system. This is the capital flow that makes the three-engine wealth system self-reinforcing rather than just a collection of parallel activities. At the end of each month, the income engine's output is split. One portion stays with the income engine itself. It's reinvested into the trading account, growing the base and therefore growing the capacity to generate more income in subsequent months. This is the mechanism by which the scaling table we just looked at actually advances. The account grows, the number of contracts increases, and the monthly income target increases with it. The second portion moves over to the growth engine. This is the fuel injection we described in the framework overview. The growth engine is a compounding engine, but it compounds most powerfully when it's being regularly fed with new capital, not just sitting on a fixed base. The monthly transfer from the income engine is what keeps the growth engine growing faster than compounding alone would achieve on a static balance. The specific split, how much stays in the income engine and how much transfer to the growth engine, is something we cover in episode 7, when we look at how to size the entire system based on your starting capital. The split is not arbitrary. It's calculated to optimize the rate at which the income engine scales while simultaneously accelerating the growth engine's compounding. Getting that balance right is one of the more nuanced decisions in the system. There is a third function of the income engine that does not show up in the monthly transfer, but that matters enormously in practice. And that's the role it plays as a buffer during market downturns. When equity markets fall, a conventional investor's portfolio declines with them. Their growth engine positions, that's the stocks and funds they hold, are worth less on paper. Their ability to buy more at cheaper prices depends on whether they happen to have a new salary contribution arriving at the right time, which is largely a matter of luck relative to market timing. But an investor running the three-engine system has a different experience. The income engine continues generating cash regardless of what equity markets are doing. Active trading strategies, particularly those that can profit from both rising and falling markets, do not require a bull market to function. That ongoing cash flow arrives every month, and in a downturn, it arrives into a market where growth engine assets are available at lower prices. The income engine's monthly output becomes a source of disciplined, systematic buying at exactly the moments when conventional investors are most reluctant to buy. This is not a small advantage. The ability to deploy capital at distressed prices, funded by an ongoing income stream that is not market dependent, is one of the primary mechanisms by which the three-engine system is designed to outperform a single-engine approach over a full market cycle. It turns volatility from a threat into an opportunity. And not through clever market timing, but through structural design. The income engine does not need to predict when markets will fall. It does not need to hold cash in anticipation of a correction. It simply keeps running, and its output keeps arriving, and the system allocates that output to wherever the best opportunity exists at that moment. In a rising market, that means feeding a compounding growth engine. In a falling market, that means buying quality assets at lower prices. The income engine doesn't change. The system just directs its output to where it does the most good. Now, I want to be direct about something before we move into the close. Everything I've described in this episode, the specific targets, the scaling math, the monthly transfer to the growth engine, it all represents how the income engine functions in the $1 million experiment with the specific instrument and approach we've chosen. If your income engine uses a different method, the numbers will be different, but the logic will be the same. The same principles apply. Reliable monthly cash flow, disciplined risk management, a defined allocation of output to the growth engine, and the buffer function that protects the system during market stress. Those are not instrument specific. They are income engine fundamentals, regardless of how you choose to implement them. Now let me summarize what we've covered today. The income engine comes first in the three-engine wealth system because it is the source of new capital that keeps the entire system accelerating. Conventional investing relies solely on salary contributions for this function, but the income engine creates a second source, one that comes from the market itself, and it grows as the account grows, and it operates independently of your employment income. The income engine generates reliable, recurring cash flow through active market participation. The method is yours to choose, but the output is defined: consistent monthly cash flow, produced by a repeatable process with disciplined risk management at its core. In the $1 million experiment, we start with a $3,000 trading account, target $249 per month, that's 8.3% monthly return, and risk generally about $75 on any single trade. The account scales in defined increments, adding capacity proportionally as it grows. That income splits each month between reinvestment into the income engine itself and a transfer to the growth engine, where it's put to work compounding. During market downturns, the ongoing income stream provides the capital to buy growth engine assets at lower prices, turning the market's volatility into a systematic advantage. Now, the next episode goes deep on the growth engine, what it does, how compounding works in practice, and why consistency and capital preservation matter more than chasing the highest possible return. The full $1 million experiment blueprint, including the projected income and growth trajectories for both engines over the full 5 years of the experiment, is available as a free download at theinvestingproject.com. If you want to see exactly how the numbers are expected to develop, that document gives you the complete picture. We have the link in the video. It's in the video description. Feel free to check it out. And in the meantime, remember to subscribe so that you don't miss the next episode. See you then.